Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Belly to Belly. And we're here today to talk about SelectUSA 2025 preparation. We're with great friend John Lynn from Quay Accelerations. Hey, how are you, John?
I'm well, Bill. Thanks for having me on today.
It's great to have you. And so besides the sort of prep, one thing we ought to let people know is you and I are on a panel discussion together. The title is From Launch to Maturity, How to Grow and Scale Tech Startups in the US market. And that's on Tuesday, the 13th at 2 p.m. I'm really looking forward to being on that with you. Are there any big, like one or two big nuggets you want to make sure people get out of that?
Yeah, I'll say more about how we help companies in a minute, but the number one thing for a company that's thinking about opening up the US to understand from our perspective, from our experience, is this. Opening up this market is not an expansion strategy. You are refounding your company in some important ways. You are rebuilding this thing from the ground up when you think about your message to the customers, the value proposition that you're offering, and how you reach your customers. So you might be coming in with the same product or the same service, but outside of that, this is going to be a wild ride where you have to sort of reformulate how you do everything on a day-to-day basis, and that can be a real challenge.
I love that you said that, because a tool I often bring out when I'm trying to describe US market entry is I'll bring out the business model canvas and I'll say, we've got to go back to this. So, which is exactly, essentially what you just said. So
100%, Bill.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So you did bring up Quay Acceleration. So yeah, let's dive into it. So our audience are companies who are either committed to coming already or are thinking about coming. And part of our mission here, and really the primary mission, is to give them a pre-introduction to resources that they can meet on site, so we can create as much pre-contact as possible. So ideally, when we get on site, we're having second and third level conversations instead of the very preliminary conversations if we're just meeting for the first time. But would you mind sharing a little bit about what Quay Acceleration does and how you help companies expanding to the US?
Yes, sir. So hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And again, thanks to Bill and his team for making us a part of the Belly to Belly podcast today. My name is John Lynn. I am one of the co-founders alongside Francis Simowitz of Quay Acceleration. Now, acceleration is still a pretty innovative category. This is a service area that has only really existed for the past 20 years. But it's something that's become really important with how high growth, venture-backed tech startups are able to A, fundraise in the first place, B, scale their products in their origin market, and then C, expand beyond their origin market into a global market. And so our accelerators partner with governments, we partner with corporations and universities, we partner with investor groups. And in each one of these programs, we're helping startup entrepreneurs with a different one of those three phases. And the reason that we're the most excited about SelectUSA and super proud to have a speaking role there with Bill and the other panelists is because acceleration can really do something special for companies that are expanding into the US market. The US market is, I don't think it's unreasonable to say, one of the biggest and most competitive markets in the world. So not only is there a lot to win here, there's a lot that you need to win against. The rest of the world is trying to get in right behind you. So what you need is a strong coalition of mentors, promoters, partners, potential customers, piloters, in an ecosystem, in a platform that can really show this market that you're serious, you're committed, and you've already won the trust of some important partners inside of the US market. So that's the role that we play for international startups coming into the US. That's what an accelerator is, and that's what Quay Acceleration is about. So that was a lot at once, Bill, but I hope it made sense.
No, it's perfect. And yeah, I mean, where you specialize in companies expanding to the US, it's really quite a niche and an important niche within the acceleration space. So thinking about sort of some of the companies that are listening haven't yet kind of finalized their decision to come, even though we're about 2 months away. And I guess for you, when you think about SelectUSA, what is it that makes it so important as you think about its benefits to international companies?
Two things. Number one is the value proposition that any great industry level conference offers, and that is having a meeting that your EA or your email thread or your calendar is not getting in the way of. It's hard enough to meet the right person at the right time for your business, whether that's an investor, a customer, a talented person that you want to hire. But to do so 100 times in 1 week in one place and be able to follow up on it quickly is just absolutely key for a business. And we spend months of our year following up on the opportunities that we get from this gathering. The second thing is the level of participant. For us, a big part of our business model is finding governments and other institutions that can foot the bill for the startups that do our program and subsidize the investment that the startup needs to make in order to be a part of our accelerator. But I think for any startup or anybody, any kind of organization thinking about coming to SelectUSA, I have to say right now, it's still early, relatively early in its history. It's got buy-in from extremely senior level executives and government officials. It is a huge opportunity right now, no matter what kind of business you are. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but if you're thinking about going May 2025, I can't think of a good reason not to.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, every state's represented, so many different resources. Yeah, no, well said, John. And and then kind of the last area is to talk about sort of best practices. How does a company coming, maybe it's their first visit to the US, maybe it's certainly likely their first time to SelectUSA, or even a big conference like this. How do they get the most out of it?
Yeah. So again, I'll have a two-pronged answer here. Number one is preparation. The SelectUSA team provides a great suite of resources for attendees to understand what individuals are going to be there, what organizations are going to be there, who's been there in the past, what sorts of stories of success have happened in the past that you can aim for, so that you can enter the conference environment and immediately achieve some goals on behalf of your organization. The second thing is, and this is more about any international individual or group presenting themselves to US stakeholders, whether it's a US corporation or a US government, is you've got to put your wins first. So again, the US market is super competitive. Part of the reason that you have to be very straightforward about why you're the best or why you're a great opportunity to be for someone to be talking to is not because you want to brag, and it's not because you want to be more American. It's because there's so many other relationships and conversations that every one of these governments and other individuals are having already, that you quickly have to show them why you're worth continuing a conversation with. Almost all the time, one of the number one things that we see international groups making a mistake about when they come into an environment like SelectUSA is that they don't lead with their wins. Be able to say, hi, I'm John. We built 14 accelerator programs in the last 12 months. We worked with 120 companies, startup companies in the last 12 months. We've got over $900 million raised by startups in our portfolio. I've called out 3 things right after my first name, right after my full name, that makes it very easy for someone to understand what my business does and that we're doing it with some level of success. And I really recommend that any international group coming into the SelectUSA environment or in the US market in general really get comfortable putting those wins first. Put your wins first.
I love the way you said that. So you mentioned preparation, obviously very key, but the idea of leading with your wins. In my words, I think of Seth Godin and I think of the purple cow, right? The idea that you're not a brown cow, you're not a black cow, which blend in any field of cows. You're a purple one. You stand out. You make sure that you're seen and heard when you're meeting people. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, this has been great, John. I know it's all busy for the next 2 months until we get on site, but I can't wait to spend some time with you and certainly your team when we see you at SelectUSA.
Same to you, Bill.
All right.